Hello everyone, I am Richie. Today I'm going to talk about a science of learning concept that you can apply it into your teaching. So, the concept I'm going to talk about today is the creativity and divergent thinking that can solve problems in multiple solutions. Before we start to talking about the concept, I would like to use to think about all these questions. First one, what is creativity? What is divergent thinking? And what kind of activities do you think that can inspire students' creativity and divergent thinking? Okay, now I would like to show you a pictures. Well, look, here is a forest. If you visit the forest a million years ago, it would be essential the same. The animals here, such as some bugs, yeah, beetles, actually the animals haven't changed really. Actually, they haven't changed in the way they before. But generation after generation, they're doing all the kind of same things, and they are living the same lives as they always have. But actually, for our human beings, we are different. We're changing over times. Now we got smartphones and some new innovation car. But why we have all this? Because yeah, we have our human brains and we have our creativity. So what is creativity, you may ask? We have some scholar, they already have some definitions over here. From Frankens, he said creativity is defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. And for Rankin and Progress, they say creativity may result from the capacity to transform one thing into others. Maybe we can invent something and yeah, like kind of different things. And from Rankin and Jagers, they say creativity is defined by presence of two components. First one's originality, and the second one is effectiveness. So let's talk about what is divergent thinking. So in 1959, Goldford already said that multiple solutions or ideas to solve a problem is divergent thinking. And for Fink and his colleague, they said divergent thinking is a thought process used to generate diverse and numerous ideas on some mental task, implying that not only one solution that may be correct, which means that you can use a lot of different kinds of ideas to solve just one problem. So, before we're talking about how you can apply it into your teaching, we need to talk about some basic and fundamental things, which is our human brains. Our human brains is very unique. So, here is a picture of a mouse. And actually, the input and output between inside a mouse mind is very narrow. So when a hamster decide to look at when the hamster look at the food, the input seafood connect directly to the output eat food. So there is not such things that the hamster can come up with, because the only things they know from seeing food is eating food. But for our humans, we're different. Like when we are seeing foods, we may see it as an art, or such as it's a Chinese kind of sculptures. When you're using in decorating the food, and this the right side you see is that the uh, pumpkin lantern that we use in Halloween's. And we can use our food as a tool for painting, right? Or yeah, we can use it as weapons when we are doing the tomato fights. Wow, human is like totally different from what it is with the animals. So what's the secret inside? Actually, the expansion of the brain region between the input and output enable us to think creatively because the input and output is more narrow than the it's more wider, sorry, it's more wider than the hamster. And the neural here, yeah, it's totally different. The input can mix and collide with what's already there. So our brain can forget so our brain can forge new pathway and make new connections. We can chew on ideas and think about things and consider possibility. And the complexity of our brains allow us to process information in almost limitless way. And the innumerable pathways through this network, this is the fundamental of our creativity. The expansion of human brain gave us one other important creative advantage. And also, with the enlargement of human brain frontal cortex, yeah, here, frontal cortex, yes, um, the prefrontal cortex, which is in our front head, that it turns out that it's the wellspring of human imagination that we can use because of the development of our prefrontal cortex. We can we can have more possibility to do the between the input and output when we are saying new things. So let's talk about the role of creativity and divergent thinking in the learning process. According to Maddox and his colleagues, creativity and divergent thinking can enhance multicultural learning experience, such as facilitate ideas flexibility, the ability to solve problems in multiple ways, which is the divergent thinking, and increase awareness of underlying connections and association, and also we can help overcome function fixedness. And also, creativity is about creating new connection by teaching divergent thinking. We enable new connection in unexpected way. Actually, when we are talking about creativity, we have to mention divergent thinking. Uh, if we can connect the things that we already know to things that we want to explore, that's the process. We can call it as creativity. So now I am going to talk about how you can apply creativity and divergent thinking in your teaching. According to Ranko and Progress, creativity often dependent on students' intrinsic motivation and the self-expression of an individual student. So, which means that actually creativity comes from individuals' intrinsic motivation. So, as an educator, we need to inspire students' intrinsic motivation. But before that, when you need to prepare a student to be creative, you need to do some things. First, you need to provide opportunity for children to practice creative thinking. Second, you need to value and appreciate those efforts. And third, you need to model creative behavior themselves. So here, um, actually the way that we can inspire students to do to be more creative is that we can design some open-ended tasks. So here there are three steps come up with Roncon and Progress. They come up with this kind of three steps that can help you teaching student with open-ended text. The first one, you need to given a familiar text that is only slightly open-ended, such as what shoes looks like. So everyone wears shoes. So what is your shoes looks like? So the second step is slightly more open-ended text, such as I'll list the use for shoes. Okay, so here is more open-ended. Maybe the student may say, I can use these shoes for decoration, or I can. The basic one is like I can wear shoes. Yeah, and the third step is open-ended text, which is the target task you would like your student to do, which is to draw a creative new shoes. So some student may think about, okay, I can make shoes that I can use it for swimming. Yes, so you can swim more faster, or some student may come up with the idea that I can create a shoes like that can help me fly higher. Oh wow! So I think that's a kind of aim like you would like to accomplish when you are doing the open-ended task. So here are some questions I can use for asking for doing the open-ended task. Here are some creative thinking questions that you can ask your students, such as the first sub-task is list a way to improve your commute to work or school. The steps B is like list as many car parts as you can. So actually, the A, B, C, D, they are more increasingly open-ended when you are asking students. Open-ended tasks allow divergent thinking. Also, you can do some games and activities that can enhance students' divergent thinking, such as this one. The 9 dot inside problem. Can you connect all dots with three straight connected lines? And how about two or one? So that's a kind of very funny games. And the second one, the two string inside problems. How can the string be tied together if the person cannot reach them both? This kind of fun activity that you can play with your student to inspire their divergent thinking. And here is a case happened in Vermont, United States. The principal, whose name is H.R. Weller, he have a kind of new ways for students to learn. He used the interdisciplinary ways to involve creative arts in every subject, such as when they are teaching the math. They are actually this course is like they are teaching the geometry, but in an abstract arts work. So the students they can draw while they are learning math. So that's a kind of creative way for the both students to solve the problems and also the teacher to create a new way to teach for teaching. So actually, there are three ways that you can help your student to learn more creatively, and actually, you can design your own curriculum more creatively. The first one is try something new. Okay, so the human brain only weighs about 3 pounds, but it takes up 20% of our body energy because we are all mobility creatures that runs on battery, which is our food. So we have to act as efficiently as possible, and as a result, the brain is always going to go for the easiest things first. So it's going to choose the easiest answer first. So we usually choose the neutral pathway that represents what we have done before. So the path of least resistance. So if we want to be more creative, the first way we need to do is to dig deeper, get off the path of least resistance. Such as maybe you can try some new teaching mode. You can ask your student to sit on the yoga ball. Yeah, that's a kind of creative way for teaching, or such as the case that we talk about that you can use interdisciplinary for teaching. When it is in the kindergarten context, it's very essential to prepare the environment and you have prepared rich resources for kids to explore and you have proper guidance for them to do their work. So which enable them to try a lot of different new things, so that enable them to have the creative fundamental things. According to Little Dyke, creative can observe in many everyday activities. When young children create a story in their play, mix color for a painting, negotiate disagreement in their play, or explain things to each other, making sense of their words. So actually, try something new do have a lot of help for students' divergent thinking and creativity. The second steps and the second suggestion is that you can push the boundaries. So, what does it mean for pushing boundaries? According to Ranko, different levels of information influence a creative thinking. So, um, so forcing our brain to try something new can make us more creativity. There's another thing that brain that can also interfere with our creativity. Actually, our brains are novelty thinkers. They crave what's new and exciting because what's old and familiar become less and less stimulating. So creative ideas have to exist in a balance between the familiar and the new. So here is the second way that we can become more creative. We have to push the boundary. The trick is to explore the range of possibility, pushing boundaries everywhere to figure out the limits of what works. So here I would like to introduce a curriculum called integrated curriculum in kindergarten context. When you are teaching kids food, yeah, actually it's the things that they're already familiar with and their experience in their daily life. So except for taking them to supermarket and to introduce the food, you can ask them to count the number of the food or name the color of the food. Or if you want to do something creative, you can let them use the food for painting, and you can use some. you can use the you can ask the student to hold a sports game by using the fruits, the vegetables, the food to decorate your your sports area, and that's kind of things that you can inspire students, your kids, creativity. Also, yeah, the basic things we talk about every day is the shapes when you are teaching kindergarten kids. So the shapes they already familiar with. They already know the name of the circle, rectangle, triangle. But how about you just let them to do the crafts, the shape crafts themselves? They can put the different shapes together and make new things, or they can draw pictures and color in different ways, and all that things is their creativity, their divergent thinking, like how they can do this art. So last but not least is to don't be afraid to failure. According to Rosenso, he said that expectations are very powerful influence on students' behavior. Actually, sometimes when we are doing some creative work, when we are engaging in divergent thinking, a lot of kids they are afraid to be fair because they think about maybe my idea is not that perfect, or sometimes they say, oh, my idea is not that works. So in this time, it's very important for teacher to encourage our child and creating something that because creating something can be agonizing and excruciating. So so when you encourage kids, they will not be afraid to do the risk. So here's the conclusion. First of all, if you want to let our kids to have more creative ideas and have divergent thinking when they're doing works, please have opportunities to practice creative thinking with them, support their creative behavior, and modeling and evaluation of creative thinking and creative behavior with them. Second, using open-ended text and allow an individual kids to spontaneously construct or otherwise develop something new, such as idea, solution, insight, something like that. So, Thank you for listening with us, with me for this journey. Okay, see you next time.